Hello, I am Becca Rue, and you are watching Rue's Musings. Today I am thrilled to have Miss Vivian Jane Powers here with us. And part of my intention inside of my life is to really listen to the universe when she speaks to me. And she came to me in a phone call via Miss Vivian, and she had suggested and offered to do this, to be interviewed about a couple of things, and I'm thrilled and so honored to have her. We're trying to keep contained, because this video could be 50 million minutes long. So we're trying to stay inside of 10 minutes, and we're trying to stay on these topics. So Vivian's going to talk to us about what she has found over decades of practice, tools that help support her inside of her yoga practice, tools to support you and her and us in our yoga practice, to the shame stories that might come up around that. Some of the shame stories, we've all got a lot of shame stories. And 3, she's going to help tell us why play yoga. Why play yoga? Why this specific place that she has found. So, Miss Vivian, will you first share with us your tips about how to support yourself inside of your yoga practice?
Well, I would say that I have been pretty unbalanced about it. Okay. So one day in class, I was in Becca's class, and she says to me, "Viv, you are here all the time. It's exemplary. It's incredible." And she's like, and I'm like I thought, oh my God, I felt so much shame. And I know she didn't shame me, but I felt the shame that I'm doing it too much. Everybody's noticing, I must be an addict, I'm like, oh God, I just want to, be a yoga freak or something, And so coupled with that, I was reading a book called Bringing Yoga Home, and it talked about the importance of a home practice. Again, the shoulders went up. I'm like, I don't really have a home asana practice. Shame, shame, shame. And I thought, well, maybe now's the time to do that. And so I proceeded to disengage from play yoga, which what I thought was only a couple weeks. And I actually went back and looked a couple of days ago, and it was 40 days that I did not show up at play yoga. You probably thought I died.
We did.
But anyway, so 40 days, much like, biblical people that wander around in the desert and have all kinds of trials and tribulations, I too had 40 days of trials and tribulations. So I would practice pretty much 10, 20 minutes almost every day of those days, asana. I meditate every day. I already had that practice. But it was the asana practice I wanted to give to myself. And basically, one day I did 40 minutes, and I would say to myself, it just isn't enough. Things are starting to hurt, but I kept doing it. And meanwhile, I was also working with softening on my diet a little and seeing how it felt to be sort of in modern restaurants with everybody. And by the time those 40 days were over, I was arthritic. I thought I was dying of disease. I was really hurting, like on so many levels. So I immediately came back when I went, okay, enough of that experiment. It's okay that you don't have a home yoga practice. And so I went back, and last week I came back, and in 7 days I probably took 22 classes because I wanted to boom, 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 get back in shape, and harden up from being so soft and whatever the mind does to us. And so I overdid it, and my knees were hurting, and I still was showing up. And so this week, I'm doing what my brother many, many years ago told me. He said, Viv, just go to 3 yoga classes a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, whatever it is, show up 3 times a week. Do a regular yoga practice. And at that point, he wasn't doing his asana practice at home either. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, I just want that so bad when he told me. But I thought, no way. I do not love myself that much. I do not have the money. I do not have the time. I don't have whatever it was. I don't. And what I didn't have was the self-love. Mm-hmm. So for me, 3 times a week, or maybe 4, but not 20, is self-love. It's loving myself enough to give myself that time, to let myself sit in a place and go through what happens in a yoga class. I'm sure all of you can relate to this, that body shame comes up. Oh my God.
Farting.
Whatever. I started my yoga practice,
crying,
whatever it was.
Laughing.
I farted in a yoga class probably 25 years ago. And I never went back because it was so humiliating to me. So anyway.
The shame comes up.
The shame comes up. And
so we've been talking a little bit about how, and yoga, this pulse is written into all of yoga. How do we structure our lives in such a way to support ourselves, to support our kind of highest self, what makes us feel great, and yet not experience shame when we don't completely 100% every single week meet those patterns. So I want us to be super clear that it's a pulse for all of us, and sometimes it's 40 days off, and sometimes it's 20 times in a week. And both of those sides of the pulse are okay. I don't think either of those are bad. You just get to experience, and then Vivian's saying, show up 3 times a week. That's a great starting point. I can make arguments for for and against essentially anything inside of yoga practice. But I totally appreciate her saying this and bringing this knowledge to us that 3 times a week is awesome. If you can get to a yoga studio 3 times a week, maybe you do the other 6, what's 7 minus 3? 5 other 5 days a week at home, or you don't practice those other 5 days a week?
Yeah.
Okay, I have no idea. Oh, because there's not 8 days in a week.
Right.
There are 7 days in a week. It's all right.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think that showing up at a class is a certain amount of structure that I personally need. Because 10 minutes, 20 minutes is beautiful, but over time it was not enough for my body and what I needed.
Right.
So 3 times a week is, it's loving yourself.
And what did Kathy tell you?
Kathy. Oh, God. She told me, because I've been doing this unlimited thing for quite a while, and she said, oh, you got to do the unlimited because you'll show up more. And I'm like, really? And sure enough, I like to make sure I go lots because I know I have an unlimited package, and it's psychological, I guess, but it's also just that I know, boom, jump in the car, get there, nobody has to check you in, you're good, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You know when you started, you know when you ended, you know when your month is up, and boom. And it's regular for me.
And it's freedom. I felt like that when I had my unlimited package at the studios that I went to. It was just like, this is my place, it's commitment, and then it's freedom. I can go whenever. And at Play Yoga, I know some studios don't do this. You can, if you have an unlimited package, like Miss Vivian here, you can come every class that day. You can come all of the classes. Most people don't do that, but you're welcome to. And then you've put your money, you've put your commitment, you put your time into this place. And I do think buying an unlimited package, which for us is $95 a month right now, get it while you still can, is motivating.
Yeah.
On to our next item of business.
Yeah.
Tell us, Vivian, I'm so thrilled about why Play Yoga.
Well, for me, I look for teachers that have something that I want, right? And at Play Yoga, teachers are real. They have bellies, not all of them, but most of them. It's real. And I want to be around people that are real because I have enough body shame going on in a class. So I want to feel safe and nurtured and supported in the class, and to me, Play Yoga has a plethora of teachers that, some do more of the inner work, some do more of the outer, some breathe more, some chant more, but there's such an incredible combination, but it's real, it's authentic. They're coming from their authentic truth of who they are, and yeah, they plan for their class, but what shows up is really what they pay attention to. Mm-hmm. And they're true yogis,
We try. And to close, I want Miss Vivian, I've done this with most of the interviews that I've shot, to tell us what you love about yoga in general. Why yoga?
I love the clothes. I love yoga clothes. And aside from that, what I love about yoga, I love that it has put me deeply inside myself. That it gives me permission and encourages me to stay focused deep within myself. And when I live there, I don't have to control everything.
Isn't that kind of what your tagline is, too?
Yeah.
What did your tagline end up being?
Learning to trust yourself. And then you don't have to go trust someone else. I mean, you don't have to grab
Rely on them.
We were doing Vrikshasana, tree pose, in a class, and the teacher, Jessica, said, it's okay if you fall over, but when you know like what you have in here, you don't have to go grasping for people or relationships or drugs or food or whatever. So it gives me incredible permission to be deeply inside myself and nourish the true essence of who I am, and that's changing my life.
Mm-hmm.
And yoga does.
And we have to show up every day.
Yeah.
So that's to me part of the catch. Is that yes, yoga can help you love yourself, and to more than love yourself kind of irritates me.
Yeah.
Not that I'm against that, but
Let's think of something new then. Nourishes your it nourishes
and to
the
be yourself.
deepest part of yourself.
Right.
And to be yourself.
Be yourself. But
Whatever
you got to
it
show
is.
up. You got to show up in various ways, and I talk about this a lot. Thank you.
Show up.
Thank you so much.
Give it a try.
I
3
love
times
you.
a week. I love you too.
Check out the rest of my musings. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.